Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. God is the only reality. All else that seems real is illusory. God and I are one. Meher Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Jai Baba to everyone, and thanks to beloved Baba. And before we start, we'll observe a moment's silence in honor of Padma Rajendra Murthy. Rajendra Murthy was a very active worker, especially during the Amar Tithi time when he manages the queue and all that. He's one of our Bombay Center members. His wife was ailing for quite some time and she passed over this morning, early morning. So we'll observe a moment's silence and pray to Baba to accept her with open arms and give her peace. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Jai Baba. Okay, we are reading this Meher Baba calling, page number 22.
Win the people to the truth. You can help others to gain spiritual freedom and to come out of the illusion of duality only if you yourself do not lose this idea of unity while working for others. When you launch upon your spiritual work, you will encounter divisions that people desperately seek to maintain, which they accentuate and fortify and strive to perpetuate consciously or unconsciously. You have to win people to the life of truth. They cannot be coerced into spirituality. You must not divide life into departments and then attempt to deal with each department separately. As spiritual workers, you have to aim at an inclusive and creative attitude to the individual and social problems of life. Never tell others what you do not feel yourself. Tell others only what you honestly take me to be, for I am anything and everything that one can honestly believe.
I don't think there is much of an explanation in this message. This is a message which was given out, a part of the message, not the full message, a part of the message given out by Baba to spiritual workers, those who have decided to work for Baba as spiritual workers. In other words, not only to propagate beloved Baba's name, beloved Baba's message, and his stature to wherever they go, but also to help people to come towards spirituality. So here the title is Win the People to the Truth. And what is the truth? If you look at it, what is the truth? The truth is that God alone is real and everything else that appears to be real is actually an illusion. The truth is that we are all one, that there is no division whatsoever, that any division, any departmentalization, compartmentalization, separation is the work of the Maya because of ignorance. The truth is, we are in this world today with only sole purpose, one purpose, and that purpose is to find that truth through experiencing oneness with that truth. So basically, that is the truth in my understanding. So here Baba says, you can help people, you can help others to gain spiritual freedom. We have lots of freedom. political freedom, social freedom, economic freedom, whatever. But Baba says these freedoms are very limited. They have a limitation. They are not complete. They are not whole. But the only freedom which is a whole and complete freedom, the only freedom which is the real freedom, is the spiritual freedom. Spiritual freedom, in my understanding, would mean freedom from all wanting, freedom from all desire, freedom from all our bondage in terms of samskaras or impressions. And that can come only at the fag end of our journey in illusion. So once we attain spiritual freedom, freedom from all separateness, freedom from all division, freedom from all finitehood, that we are finite, we are separate, we are different, we are other than the whole, other than the ocean, other than Paramatma himself. So when we achieve that freedom, then that is a perennial, perpetual freedom, eternal freedom. And Baba says that that is the real freedom. So you can help others to gain spiritual freedom and to come out of the illusion of duality. Duality is an illusion. Once we come out of the illusion of duality, it means we have achieved spiritual freedom. Only if you yourself do not lose this idea of unity while working for others. In any association, in any groups, in any institution, in any sort of collection of people, there is always likelihood of division. Somebody is good, somebody is not so good. Somebody is rich, somebody is not so rich. Somebody is influential, somebody is not so. So all these divisions, separations are basically the outcome of our own ignorance. So Baba says that, and now of course, when Baba is talking about people, they are not spiritually perfect people. They are people like you and I who want to venture out into the world. And when I say venture out into the world, it doesn't mean that you take a jhola and go from house to house. Basically, I would say that you conduct yourself in such a manner that people get attracted towards you. They find something special, something unique in you, and they feel tempted to ask you as to how is it that in spite of all these that is going on, you seem to be in a state of equanimity, in a state of poise. You don't seem to be disturbed. You don't seem to be ever irritated or agitated. You seem to be always having a smile on your face, something like that. Just the example I'm giving you. So in other words, these are people like you and I who would get an opportunity to speak about Baba, to speak about truth, and that can only happen if you do not lose. Yeah, Baba says, if you do not lose the idea of unity while working for others. In other words, we have to treat each and every one as equal. Equal in the sense, in terms of in the eyes of the Lord. We always say, that there is always equality, but there may not be similarity because people are different. People will always find faults in whatever you are doing. They are PhD. So especially when you hold a position of power or when you hold some authority, you may be a president, you may be a vice president, you may be a secretary, you may be a chairman, you may be a head of the department, you may be anything. People will find faults. People will find something which they feel you are not doing correct. So we need to be very, very, what should I say, strong in our own self-belief, in our own self-esteem, in our own self-respect, and handle that with diplomacy, handle that with tact, yes, with tact, handle that with a lot of love, handle that with a lot of understanding, handle that with a lot of tolerance, understanding that people are like that. You cannot change them. Yes, patience, correct, patience. So Baba says, when you launch upon your spiritual work, you will encounter divisions. You will encounter divisions that people desperately seek to maintain. People desperately seek to maintain divisions, high, low, good, bad, all that, which they accentuate, accentuate and fortify. Fortify is make strong and strive to perpetuate consciously or unconsciously. Now, many people have observed, at least I have observed, that whenever you hold the position, there would be people who would give you hundreds of suggestions. It should be like this, it should be like that, it should be like this. And I have adopted Baba's principle, which is, just recently somebody suggested, I said, wow, fantastic, you do it. And Baba would say the same thing when somebody would suggest something to Baba. And I'm sure there would be hundreds and thousands of people telling Baba what to do or telling Baba what not to do, that kind of thing. So one has to handle each one with love, with patience, with tolerance, with understanding. Understanding what? Understanding that they are coming from a different viewpoint. And they may be right. It's not that whatever they say it can always be wrong. They may be right. So look at any suggestions, any advice very open-endedly, very open-mindedly, very open-heartedly, very objectively, and not who is suggesting. Supposing somebody has a reputation of being an idiot or always doing all rubbish talking, and even if that person suggests something to you and me, look at it not as who is suggesting, but what is he suggesting? Look at it open-mindedly, look at it, as I said, objectively. But most of us are so egocentric that if somebody whom I may consider as my dushman, as my enemy, as somebody whom I not necessarily hate, but I somehow dislike the person. And if that person puts forth a suggestion, immediately I look to that suggestion with blinkers, with chashma of I don't like that person. So whatever he may say is not correct. What Baba is trying to say is to be open-minded, be and see everything objectively. You have to win people to the life of truth. They cannot be coerced into spirituality. You can never ever use force in spirituality. In religious surroundings, we have seen a lot of force happening, forceful conversion, to quote one example, But that has nothing to do. Baba says it is just like going from one cage into the another. Religion is just a cage if you do not use the crux of that religion for your own upliftment, for your own self-development in terms of feelings towards God, loving God, yearning to see Him and become one with Him. If we do not do that, then all other things are just a waste of time. You may do all the ceremonies, rituals, as many times in a day as you are told to do it. But that from a religious standpoint, it may have some validity. I do not know. But from a purely spiritual standpoint, it seems that it has no value. And we have to always focus on what is spiritually beneficial for us. So here Baba says, you must not divide life into departments and then attempt to deal with each department separately. So in other words, do not deal with each department separately. Life is one inclusive whole. So we have to look at life with a holistic approach. HOLIS, WHOL, holistic, as a complete. Just like how when you go to a naturalist or if you go to a homeopath, what they would ask you a full history and they would have a holistic idea of what is your natural tendency, what type of a person you are. They don't focus so much on the problem or the ailment that you're going through. They will focus on a holistic approach of what is your natural tendency. How are you? Are you a very angry man, a very jolly man, a very, that kind of thing. So here Baba says that look at any situation holistically, means as a whole, as a completely, and not as a divided aspect, and then divide and handle, let's say, a financial aspect separately, a social aspect separately, and all that. As spiritual, yeah, correct. As spiritual workers, you have to aim at an inclusive and creative attitude to the individual and social problems of life. You have to look to a inclusive and creative situation. Now, I just offhand I can say, now, uh, don't take me wrong, but what I'm saying, supposing now you are so much focusing on development, development, development. It's very good. There's absolutely no doubt. It's absolutely wholesome. But in the process of development, if you are harming nature, then nature will definitely rebound back on you. So in other words, I'm just giving an offhand idea of what Baba means by you take a very holistic, very inclusive, a very creative aspect of every individual and social problem. Never tell others what you do not feel yourself. When you tell others anything, first is who you are as a being when you are telling whatever you are telling. I will repeat this. Means, in other words, unless and until you are honest to yourself in whatever you are conveying to others, that whatever you conveyed will not impact or affect the other person if you are not honest to yourself. If you are not, what should I say, if you do not feel that as a very honest thing that you are telling others. I'll just give you an example, and I've seen this. There are many what we call as healers. It's a loose name. And one healer who is not having a certain vibrancy, potency, or whatever you call it, he or she gives a certain medicine to somebody. That medicine does not work. But if the same medicine is given by another healer who is so very well anchored in his, not just the knowledge about the therapy, but also he feels in himself very pure, very confident, and he feels that feeling is there that this will do you good. And if he gives the same medicine, that would impact and affect positively the other person. I don't know whether I'm conveying what I'm trying to say. In other words, it is not just the words that will make an impact on the other person, but who is telling that those words and who you are as a being when you are telling whatever you are telling. I hope I've cleared this, but you can always ask questions later on. For example, Baba would several times, of course, Baba is Baba, give such solutions or such medicines in such ailments which the doctor would say that this is a poison. You can't give a sick person who is suffering from so and so disease this particular thing because it is absolutely poisonous. It would make that person worse or even die. But Baba would say, and Baba would give that medicine, and because it is Baba who has given it, that person gets cured. I hope I'm conveying what I'm trying to convey. Similarly, there was another person in Baba's Mandali by the name of Aga Baidul. He had, he would profess himself to be a doctor. Of course, he wasn't a doctor at all. And with such firm, absolute, firm conviction he would give homeopathic medicine to left, right, and center, to a point where if he sees that somebody is limping, or if on the road, or if he sees that somebody has just coughed or has sneezed, he would run after that person and tap him. He doesn't know the person and say, "Oh, you are suffering from this. Don't worry, I am there. I'll give you a medicine." And he would give some homeopathic medicine and say and tell that person that before you take that medicine, say the name of Meher Baba and consume that medicine. Means, in other words, the medicine may or may not be the exact medicine for that ailment, but his firm conviction that anybody who takes that medicine with Meher Baba's name gets cured. And we have several stories about Baidu. Someday we may do it. So, and the person gets cured. So here Baba says, never tell others what you would not feel yourself. Because if you tell others, then it's a very half-baked talking. It will not impact the other person. Your words have gone wasted into thin air. Tell others only what you honestly take me to be. That means, in other words, if we speak about Baba as the avatar of the age, then the first and foremost, we must be convinced with absolute certainty, no ambiguity, that Baba is the highest of the high, that Baba is the avatar of the age, that Baba is the God man, that there, in my understanding, there can never be anybody higher than Baba. I'm not just talking in terms of these times or this age, but I would say for all times, for the simple reason that the highest spiritual stature is that of the what should I say, the Sahib Zaman, or the Avatar, or the Lord of Lords, or the King of Kings. The Sadgurus are there. They are definitely very high, but they have certain limitations which the Avatar does not have. And being the latest Avatar, he includes within himself all the past avatars. That means Zoroaster, Ram, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, and maybe so many other minor advents. He is inclusive of all. So that is why I keep harping all time and time again that we do not need to go to anybody else. Pay respects. Uh, you definitely pay respect. You can bow down, join your hands, do whatever, but not with the intent of getting something from there which you may not get from Meher Baba, because Meher Baba is the highest. So coming back to our reading, tell others what you honestly take me to be, for I am anything and everything that one can honestly believe. In other words, as Baba himself says, that I am everything, I am nothing, and I am also beyond both everything and nothing. So whosoever genuinely, honestly takes Baba to be a fraud, then Baba is that, because a fraud cannot exist unless Baba exists as existence, as the essence of that fraud. So Baba says that you can take me to be anything, because I am anything and everything that you honestly take me to be. Now, as I said earlier, this is a small portion of the entire message for Meher Baba spiritual workers. And each one of us can, to a certain degree, uh, call ourselves spiritual workers. How? By first inculcating all these qualities, all these traits which Baba is advising us to do. And then once he, basically, this is my way of looking at it, there's a very beautiful sentence, which says, be still and the things will transform themselves. In other words, everything starts or begins and ends with us. There is no need for us to do bhagdor. There is no need for us to go in search of masters and all that. If we are very still within, equipoise, then automatically things will change. It is always from inside out. We are so much bahar mukhi, as we say, without. We always run about without. The moment we start dwelling within, delving and dwelling within, then we might find a lot of things automatically changing in our surrounding. We don't have to do anything, it will automatically change because our own prabhav, our own vibrations are such that it will attract only those good vibrations around us. And then automatically we become what we call as spiritual warriors. And when people come to us, they can have a whiff of what we are. This is, as I say, is my personal way of looking at it. We don't have to go outside, as I said, with Jola and take Baba's photo or literature. You may. But so this is where we end one page. If there are any questions, you're most welcome to ask on
Uh,
on this.
Rakesh Gupta has a message. He's raised his hands on unmuting.
Yeah,
Rakesh,
go ahead.
Yeah, Jai Baba Saras.
Jai Baba Rakesh.
My question is regarding this story of Baidul.
Can you speak a little
Story of-
loudly?
Story of Bible.
Okay.
Go.
Question is regarding this story that you just told of Baidul,
Uh-huh.
that he could cure people just out of his faith in Baba. I mean, he'll put oil in the ears with garlic drops and
Homeopathic medicine, yes.
so, should this faith be reposed only in the highest of high, or is it also okay that you have not the same kind of faith, but similar kind of a faith, you have in anything, or anybody else who is not of that stature? Will that work also, or that's not supposed to be there?
Well, first of all, I always say I'm not qualified to answer yes, it will work or not. But in my understanding, yes, if one has faith for any illness, any illness, if you have faith in yourself, medicines that you are taking, and in the doctor who is treating you, by and large, it is beneficial for you. That is what my understanding is. One has to have faith in all these things. But if the straight answer to you, yes, it could help. It could help. If one has that kind of a faith, it could help. Yes,
Okay.
I would say yes. And Baidul was with Baba right from 1920s, and he was not a literate person. He was not well educated or something. He had nothing but absolute faith, trust, love, obedience for Baba. He was, I mean,
Right.
so, and because of his faith, as Jesus has said, that whatever miracles that I am doing, even my disciples can do in my name.
Saris once.
Isn't it, Dalna?
No, his mic is because his mic is open. There's a lot.
Somebody's mic is open. Who's it?
Rakesh.
Okay. Rakesh, can
Yeah,
you just mute your mic? Thank you, Rakesh. So what I'm trying to say is, even we can, I mean, Jesus had said that whatever miracles I have done and I am doing, even my disciples can do it, But the basic aspect, I think, is absolute trust and absolute faith that this will happen. But you can give it a try. I'm sure it should happen. Right? Okay. Anyone else?
No one else as of now, so we can.
Okay. Now, Mridula, I think, Mridula, you are just thumbs up or is it hand? You want to ask something?
I think so. I'll just unmute her.
Unmute your mic and ask.
Yeah, I have something to share regarding this getting well. In the last 2-3 years, my cousin, my nephew, and my own sister unfortunately had trouble with cancer. I don't know why and how, but I could manage to get Baba's chadar from Amrit and some dhuni, and I could send to all three of them. But it was my faith. Like I sent them just praying that Baba, you know best, please do best, but just give them strength to bear whatever is ordained for them.
Excellent.
And I don't know what it is, but all three of them have been cured, Jai Baba.
Oh, Jai Baba. Excellent. So one of the best things that you said is that we should always pray for anybody by just saying that Baba, you know best, and whatever you feel best from the soul's reckoning that you do, rather than asking Baba to no, whatever it is you must save, you must do, because
Yes.
that could go against the
Yeah,
person.
I just prayed that they and their family would be able to manage, and the doctors would be able to do their best.
Excellent, excellent. I
Thank you,
remember
Jai
one
Baba.
instant, Jai Baba. I remember one instant. You can mute your mic now.
Muted for
Yeah, thank you, dear. I'm sure I must have narrated this before, because I keep repeating quite a few things. Where one very devout family of Baba, believing in Meher Baba, their small child, small maybe I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years of age, he fell ill. And so they consulted their family doctor, and there was no cure, there was no improvement in that. So what happened was they wrote to Baba that our child is sick and we are taking this medication from the doctor. So Baba's telegram came that you continue with the medication, it's fine. So they continued for a little while and there was no improvement at all. And the other members in the family, the extended family, they told the parents that I think he's not improving at all. It is best that we put him in the hospital. But they were following Meher Baba's instructions and they said, no, Baba has said that you continue with the same doctor, so we will continue. What had happened was after a little while, actually the case started deteriorating. And they sent another message to Baba saying that the case is deteriorating, the child is becoming worse by the day. What should we do? Baba again sent a telegram stating that you continue with the same doctor, he'll be okay. It happened about 2 to 3 times. And finally, this so-called extended family, they were so furious with the parents and Baba, of course, that they forcibly lifted the child and admitted him in a local hospital. The moment he went to the hospital, the doctors there, they just tore their, hair and said, what are you doing? What have you done? What have you done? He says, this child would have died in another 1 or 2 hours. You should have, can you all hear me? I think there's something, my system is playing a little havoc. Anyway,
so when you
if you can hear me, I'm it's fine. Yeah. So the doctor,
We can hear.
yeah. The doctor said that the child would have died in another 2 hours. It's good that you brought him in the nick of time. And of course, the treatment was given and the child life was saved and everything was over, forgotten. After a few years, what had happened was the child grew and he grew up to be a very notorious person, giving a very, very bad name to the family. And after a few years, when they had Baba's darshan, when they went for Baba's darshan, that parents, they caught hold of Baba's feet and they were crying profusely. And Baba never asked why, they never said why. Baba simply said, what can I do? What can I do? I told you to continue with the same doctor. I knew that the child would have died very soon through that doctor. But at least you would have obeyed me. And because you obeyed me, the child would have come to me. But now since the child's life is saved and he has become a very obnoxious, notorious person, you have to undergo whatever you have to undergo. It's a very, very uh, what should I say? You need a lot of courage and a lot of faith to follow a master's instruction, especially when you are going through these difficult times. So that was one story. The another incident that comes to my mind, again, more or less a similar type, was there was one family who were very much dedicated to a master. They were very much dedicated to a master. And their girl, their daughter was getting married. So they invited the master, but the master said, no, I cannot come. But after marriage, after they get married, you can bring them for my darshan. So they got married and they were very much dedicated to the master and they came to the master. When they came to the master took the groom a little aside and spoke something in the groom's ears. He spoke something. So they thought he must have given him some mantra or something. That's what the masters do, something like that. So nothing was revealed. But the moment the guru uttered something in the groom's ears, the groom became very furious. And he said, I have nothing to do with this master. He is a fraud. And he took his wife, just married wife, to his place, to his home, and said, I don't want you to have anything to do now with your parents or with your master, this so-called master. So it's all, like he prohibit the wife to go to this master. After some years, rather the next year only, they bore a child, a girl child. And the girl grew up to be a very beautiful lady, a very beautiful girl, very, very beautiful. And as she grew up to be 10, 11, 12, 15, she went to bad ways. To put it very bluntly, she became a prostitute. And the parents now were totally, they just didn't know what to do. She was a shame to that family. She was a shame to her grandfather, grandmother, and everybody in the family. And they really did not know what to do. So ultimately, when you are totally helpless, what to do? You take a recourse to so-called spiritual person. So again, the grandparents convinced those people, the daughter and the son-in-law, why don't we go to the master again and say we are in this particular kind of predicament where we are totally ashamed, we are totally outcast by the surroundings. So they go to the master. And of course, the master has grown old, the parents have grown old, the girl has become 20, 21, and the grandfather are very, very old. So they are conveying this to the master and saying that this is our situation. Please help us out. At that time, the master tells the groom, tell them now openly what I told you in your ears. Now see, this may sound very crude, very vulgar also, but the ways of the master are totally different. Our way of looking at things and the master's way of looking at things are totally different. So the groom says, that means the father of the girl who is now taken to prostitution. The groom says that the master took me aside and spoke in my ears, do not spend the first night with your wife. Go to a brothel and spend your first night over there. And after that, you can go to your wife. Now, obviously, a young boy who has no idea of what a master is would definitely, blare out, or would definitely feel absolutely dejected with such a order. But the master said that I, being a master, knew that the first seed from this man would be becoming a prostitute. And therefore, had he obeyed my instructions, had he gone to the whorehouse or whatever you call it, that girl would have been born in that surrounding, in that vicinity, and you would have been accepted as one among them. But now what can I do? I tried to help you, but sorry about that. This may sound very strange. It may sound very, I don't know what word to use, immoral, vulgar, whatever that may be. But that is why Baba always said, do not try to understand me. My depth is unfathomable. Just love me. It requires a very strong heart and a very deep, profound conviction that whatever Meher Baba says, we just do it blindly without thinking. Baba has never given such an instruction, but masters do give such instructions, you know. For example, Maulana Rumi and Shamsi Tabriz, you know, Shamsi Tabriz was the master. He asked Rumi to, and Rumi himself had thousands of followers. And in Islam, wine is, what should I call? What is it called? Toba. No, not blasphemy, there's a word. Haram, or whatever.
Haram, haram.
You cannot touch wine. Don't even speak about that word. And the master tells him to carry that pitcher of wine amongst all the Islam, you know, the Muslim community. So the masters give instructions which are quite contrary to our own belief system of right and wrong, good and bad. But the real masters do that, and they test you with such orders. So I think here we completed the one subject. Anything to ask on this? This just, it came automatically, these two episodes, and so I put it on.
No one's
Okay.
raised their hands as such, so we can continue reading.
No hands coming up.
No hands coming up.
Any legs?
No.
Okay. So then, see, now the next chapter is my wish. And I think we have already covered my wish. So I don't think we need to cover it again because it's the same thing. And I would request Rakesh, because Nan Umrigar said that she hadn't received it. So if Rakesh can circulate, there were two sessions completely on Baba's My Wish. Right? They
Yes,
are
yes,
very
I'll do that.
simple. Sorry. Yeah, please.
Yes, yes, I'll circulate it.
Yeah. Thank you, dear.
Yes.
On this, Cyrus, I also wanted to say regarding Ria. When Ria was in the hospital,
Yeah.
I play the Meher Baba dhun all the time. It used to just play near her bedside, and it was really magical because there were times when doctors themselves were pretty shocked that after a 8-hour, 9-hour surgery, how she never had any complications, whether it was anesthesia, whether it was surgery. She just the next day looked fine, like as if nothing happened. So if you have faith, I think with Baba, he just does wonders.
Correct. All right. So now we turn over to another one. We still have time, I'm sure. Oh yes, plenty of time. This is chapter number 24.
Don't hesitate to own your faith. Each is free to think of me and interpret my work as he feels or understands best. Either my words must be presented as they stand, or if interpreted by you, you must not fail to state it as your own interpretation. I never denied being perfect and being the avatar, but you do not know that yet. I know I am the one without a second, alone and matchless. You would be quite right to assert and proclaim whatever you truly believe me to be. Never hesitate to own your faith and believe in me and about me. But do not claim to know or feel what you actually do not.
Sir, again, Baba is emphasizing on honesty. Honesty means honesty of our own faith, belief, and feelings about Meher Baba. Because if one is not convinced about his spiritual stature and one talks about whatever, then it doesn't really, there is no rasa, there is no feeling, there is no vibratory power in whatever you are saying if you yourself are not convinced about Baba's spiritual stature. Don't hesitate to own your faith. In other words, if our faith in Baba is, even if you take Baba to be okay, ordinary, saintly people, you own that and say, this is what I feel. Although Baba, time to time, he has said it over a period of time that you may either categorize me as an ordinary person or the highest of the high. But one thing is for sure, I cannot be counted like anybody in between, sadhu, saint, mahapurush, pir, wali, aulia, yogi, mahayogi, etc., etc. So here Baba says, each is free to think of me and interpret my work as he feels or understands best. That means as we feel or understand best, we we have to convey and interpret those words to others. Either my words must be presented as they stand, or if interpreted by you, you must not fail to state it as your own interpretation. That is why I tell our Postmaster General that always keep that placard in the first slide, that the views expressed by the speaker are his own personal views, blah blah. Why? Because in the process of interpretation, we might make mistakes. And I have always been, I think I'm happy to say, conscientious in keep on saying that this is my personal viewpoint, this is how I view, this is how I take things to be. And it is very important that even you, when you give your interpretation of what Baba says, make it a point to say, these are Baba's words, and I think they seem to me to mean this. That's about all. Very, very important. I never denied being perfect and being the avatar, but you do not know that yet. Baba says that I have never denied that I am perfect and I am the avatar, but you do not know that yet. I have narrated this before that in the earlier days, when Baba was to call himself, the avatar and the God man, God becoming man, God, even the close mandali would say, Baba, the moment you say I am God, many people just run away. That this fellow is out of his, he's not, he doesn't seem to have his, a proper sense of being. Or people think that you are the greatest egoist, or people say you are just mad, you're just fraud, blah blah. So Adi has narrated this, Adi Senior, that why don't you just project yourself as a saintly person, as somebody who is spiritually advanced. So Baba's superb reply was that just as it is a blasphemy for people to announce and say, I am God, when they have not achieved that experience of Godhood, in the same way, it would be a blasphemy for me to say, I am not God when I am one. So Baba was so emphatic about this that he is none other than God in human form, the perfect being. Perfect beings may be many, but here he is the highest in the range of the perfect beings. So Baba says, but you do not know yet. I remember an instance when Baba had just finished his new life phase. This was in the beginning of 1952. A very hard time, a very tough time, begging, sleeping anywhere, eating anything that is offered in Bhiksha, becoming sick, no treatment, to such an extent that Baba had to change so many times his plans. If you read the New Life stages, and many people were allowed to go off. Okay, you can lead your own life wherever you are, but you follow these principles. And even though you may not be with me in physical proximity, it would be as if you are living the new life. So there were hardly a few people now remaining with Baba, and one of them was Erach. Erach was so tired, literally fagged out. You call it, no, fagged out, totally drained out. And in 1952, February, the new life phase apparently ended. And in April of 1952, Baba was planning to go to the West. There were invitations from the West. He had gone to inaugurate the Meher Spiritual Center and other places. And Baba was making preparations for going to the West. And Baba asked Erach, "Chalo, taiyari karo, humko jaane ka hai." Erach very seldom does this, but he did this time. He just put his hands up and said, "Baba, I cannot come. I will not come with you." And Baba asked, "Why?" And Erach said, "I am so fagged out. I am so drained out that instead of my taking care of you, you will have to take care of me." And Baba, he just, put his foot down, so to speak, and said, "Baba, I'm sorry, but I just can't make it. I just can't make it anymore." So Baba said, "Okay." He took somebody else. He said, "Okay, then you do one thing. Remain in India while I am abroad and go to all the various places in India, the different states in India, and talk about me. Propagate my name and my message of love, truth, and unity of all life." And it was at this time that Erach, having lived with Baba so closely for so many years, had the honesty to say, "Baba, what can I tell about you? I don't even know that you are God." Just imagine. And Baba was very, very happy with that answer. And Baba said, "Yes." Because if you were to say that Meher Baba is God, that would be a hypocrisy. Why? Because you have not yet experienced my Godhood. So then what to do? And Baba says, you can say that Baba says that he is God. That would be right thing to do. You understand what I'm saying? So here, this is what Baba, all these episodes, stories, anecdotes come only when we read this. So Baba says that, but you do not know that yet. You do not know that yet, that I am the perfect one. I am the ancient one, that I am the God man. So that is what Baba is saying. I know I am the one without the second, alone and matchless. He is matchless. He alone exists. When we talk about Meher Baba, we tend to bottle him up in this particular form of Avatar Meher Baba. 5 feet so and so inches with a mustache, long hair, whatever. But that is not. Baba says, I am not this body. It is only a coat that I put on when I visit you. I am existence, infinite and eternal. In other words, Baba is, of course, we have to go through the form to the formless. But when we say love Baba, it is not just loving that form, because now this form is no more there. So we need to see his existence, his astitva, his spark in each and every one of us, and love each and every one of us. So here Baba says, I know I am the one without a second, alone and matchless. You would be quite right to assert and proclaim whatever you truly believe me to be. Again, the same thing. Baba is emphasizing on honesty. Whatever you truly believe me to be, you can proclaim. You can say, I believe that Baba is God man, or Baba is God in human form, or Baba is the avatar of the age. Never hesitate to own your, sorry, never hesitate to own your faith and belief in me and about me. In other words, what Baba is trying to say is, you own your faith in me and about me. So in other words, there should be some kind of ownership about our faith and belief in Baba, whatever we may take him to be. Irrespective of what we take him to be, Baba wants us to own that faith and belief in him. Only when we own. The other day I was just listening a part of it, uh, Charles Haynes, very little part I heard. I was having some little time. And what I liked very much is that each one of us has to own Baba personally. Words to the effect. It should be like my Baba, my benevolent master. That minus, that ownership, that exclusiveness. Although Baba is not exclusive, Baba is all inclusive. But when you take Baba to be your own, your very own, you're very near. That feeling of ownership about Baba should come within us. Then when we talk about Baba to anybody, it may make a more impactful effect on the other, rather than just blabbering about Baba says this, Baba says that. Never hesitate to own your faith and belief in me and about me, but do not claim to know or feel what you actually do not. Again and again, Baba is harping, hammering on honesty, on truth of the feeling within us. So, as within, so without. If you feel that Baba is a fraud, that Baba can be a saintly person but not a not the avatar, and then do not tell others that Baba is the avatar. In other words, tell whatever you consciously feel within yourself concerning Baba. That finishes chapter number 24. If anybody has anything to ask, we have 2 minutes to go for 6, but we can always lengthen it if there is any question answers. Go ahead.
Meher has and Rakesh had put his hand up. Gupta.
Yes, Rakesh, go ahead.
Go first, Meher. Let Meher go. Meher, unmute your mic.
Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Cyrus uncle, I wanted to ask you two questions.
Haji.
One was, yesterday I read it and somebody had sent it. Badul was he a doctor in a village in Persia? I wanted to ask you that.
No, he was no. He wasn't the doctor.
Huh?
He is a self-made doctor. He
Okay.
Self-taught
Okay.
doctor. He never learned a doctory or something like that. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but he loved to give medicines to people. You know.
Yeah.
Including in Satara, even a civil surgeon had to take his advice as to what should I do, and he gave advice. There are some stories about Baidul, very beautiful stories when he cured some very elite personality, one woman who had a patch on the back, and she cured him. We won't go into this. He cured her. Let us. There are many stories about that. So, answering your first question, no, he was not a doctor.
Okay, thank you. And the second question I wanted to know, it said that Adi K. Irani would get up by 3 o'clock in each morning and meditate. Was this true?
I don't know. He may be. If it is mentioned in any of the authentic records, then he may be. Yes. Why would I say? I mean, if it is mentioned,
No, I just read it. Someone sent it. I read it. So I said, let me ask you these.
no, no. I'm sure it must be. If you have read it from an authentic source, then it may be, because many of the Baba's followers would be getting up quite early in the morning to, not necessarily to pray or to meditate, because I don't know, but I don't think any of the Mandli would meditate upon Baba, because meditation was never a kind of a regimented stuff for a program in his ashram. It never was.
Okay.
It never was. For the Sufis, it is one of the for the Sufis, when Baba, what we call as reoriented Sufism, one of the aspects of that was this meditation was given to them, but not to all and sundry. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Jai Baba. Thank you.
Jai Baba. Anybody else?
Rakesh wanted to ask. He had raised his hand. Rakesh, you want to still ask your question?
Yeah. This is for that story that bride and groom who went to that spiritual master. I want to ask you, is it logical or is it easy for someone who's meeting a spiritual master for the very first time and he gets to hear such a thing? I mean, is it easy to obey? Let's say, if I put you in his place, would you be doing that?
Yeah. I think ultimately it's a matter of destiny, that he was destined not to obey. I would put it this way. And I do appreciate your point that perhaps if you and I were there and without any faith in that master, you and I would be doing the same thing as what that man did. I agree with you, yes. But ultimately at the end of the story, you can always put it on destiny or fate, that it was that girl's fate to, that way. Got it?
Yeah.
What you're saying is right. I mean, if I were to be taken to a master whom I don't know for Adams, and then if he were to give me such an instruction, I would definitely think twice, or I may or may not do that.
Yeah, at best I will share with my family and then take a collective decision.
If I knew that the family was so dedicated, she would. That is what she is. Well, I mean,
my idea is to share with the family and discuss, not to keep it to myself.
Agreed. Yeah. Anybody else?
No one has of now. No one's raised. No more
Sorry?
No more questions, Cyrus.
No more questions. So shall we call it a day? It's 6:02.
Bobby's raised his hand now.
Sorry?
Bobby.
Coffee. Okay, chalo. Jai Baba.
Jai
Baba. Avatar Meher Baba. Jai Baba.
Cyrus,
Sorry.
Bobby wants to ask you a question.
Bobby,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we heard coffee break.
Sorry, very sorry.
Bobby.
Please.
Sorry, Baba.
Very sorry. Please go ahead.
Jai Baba to all of you. Greetings from
Baba.
London. I had a question.
Bobby,
Yes, can you hear me?
Can you put on your video?
May we see you?
Ah,
So that
okay.
we-
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, dear. Oh, can't
Can you see me now?
Okay, Bobby, go ahead.
Yeah, well, greetings from London.
Jai Baba.
Greetings. Yeah, Baba.
Jai Baba. I had a question. You give the story of the sevak who's looking after Baba, doesn't believe he's God. Could you tell us where is he and what's happened to his family, and can we get more stories out of him on someone who served the feet of God himself?
I'm sorry, I must.
Baidu, you're not there anymore. Baidu.
No, he's talking
Yeah,
Neeraj.
Neeraj, correct. Neeraj.
So what is the
Erach
question?
is not
Bobby, what is the question? Erach is no
question
more
is-
now. None
I
of the-
understand, but he's someone who served the Lord himself.
Yes.
And are there any books that he's written
There are
about?
many books.
Yes.
There's a book called That's How It Was. That was a story. It has many narrations by Erach. Then there's one called The Ancient One. So if you want, you can just take down. And then there is one called It So Happened. Then there is one called The Narrow Lane. So these are all.
Let's start with one. I'll start with the
Yeah.
ancient one, I think.
Yeah, you can just jot it down, or when you get the recordings, you can just jot it down.
And does he have any family still here?
They were all
Aaron?
no. His brother was there, Merwan, till very recently, but he also went to Baba. So actually, there's no close
Yes,
glory.
Jalla.
Yeah, the ancient
Ancient
one.
one.
Yeah, I said that. The ancient one. Yeah.